So you will recall that PSTA has embarked on developing a performance scorecard for its organization. This is basically a pretty tried and true business model for ensuring that the goals of the organization are being implemented in a successful way from top to bottom, from the board level direction on the definition of success on down to my evaluation as the CEO, and then on down to the departments, and on down to the individual employees. We kicked off this this effort at the workshop that we held with the PSTA board over at St. Pete College on January 13th. And Mark Ash, the executive director of TransPro, the company that we've hired to help us put this together, presented a discussion of what the outcome of this was going to be, and we had a discussion about the mission and vision, about revising the mission and vision of PSTA, which is an important component of this, obviously, because the mission and vision are what the goals drive to. Thank you, Clarissa. So in the as attachments to this agenda item is a summary report of where the project stands. We're moving along nicely. There's a summary report in there.
Two pages?
There are two attachments.
Got transpo at the top, this one?
Yeah. They have 5 tasks in their contract, and we're hopeful to have a business scorecard for the organization in the May timeframe. And I'll come back. Ultimately, I think that's when maybe we should best present it back to the PSTA board, once we have a scorecard. The other attachment in your Granicus, and maybe in your packet, is where we stand on revising the mission and vision statement for PSTA. We had a discussion on January 13th with the board where there was, I would say, consensus of the board that people think it might be good to make some modifications to the mission and vision statements that were done some time ago. Since then, we've had 2 staff leadership team meetings with TransPro, and have landed, as this page describes, that we have a front runner that is not, that I would say has consensus, but not unanimous total approval in each and every word. And then some other options that other folks are sort of favoring that are, as you can see, similar to the front runner. I also went over this with Commissioner Johnson, and we thought at this executive committee to come up with, if anyone had a great idea on how we might bring this ultimately to the PSTA board and either decide to approve a new mission or vision statement, just leave it as is. Open to any thoughts that you have.
Well, I have a thought, Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Yes, please.
If TransPro is going to bring back the results of the big task in May, don't they have to have this task completed and confirmed by the board before May?
That would be ideal. That would be ideal. That's why they started with this.
I had sort of thought that this would be coming back to the board in the short time frame for confirmation, and then the next step would move forward. So I would think that this could be brought to the board at our next meeting.
As a status report or as a final presentation?
I think it has to be confirmed.
Yeah. I mean, I agree that it is a required precursor to a truly effective balanced scorecard is to have a specific mission and vision that you're striving for. And the fact is that the board did state, I would say, with consensus on the 13th, that the current mission and vision statement maybe were not ideal, or not current, and needed to see some revisions. So I would be okay taking one of these, one mission recommendation and one vision to the PSTA board.
I would suggest that in the document that you present that as, here's what the current ones are, here's what the discussion item that was presented on January 13th was, and then here's the results of that discussion, what the staff is coming back with a recommendation. So so the board kind of gets from where they were before to where we are now.
Right. Is there a prescribed sort of methodology for getting approvals at the committee level for these kinds of things? Because with 15 people, we're going to have 15 different ideas, and so we need to kind of curtail. I mean, we could have another 4-hour meeting on this one particular item. So we need to be able to curtail it down to maybe 1 or 2 choices, so that we don't have
Correct.
everybody putting in their own thoughts.
And
it take a lot of time.
And I think that is an excellent point. If we're going to bring it up at the board, it should probably come up at the finance committee, the planning, or certainly the planning committee, so that they can recommend that going forward.
That's the reason that we brought this forward to the executive committee. The executive committee's purpose is to discuss issues of governance and ways of having the board operate in a more smooth, efficient manner, etc. So you're right, this could keep getting wrapped around the axle.
Yep.
Unless we have some management to it. So,
I mean, this is really a wordsmithing kind of a thing. It's not necessarily, and these things are all perhaps not ideal, but any of them are fine. But we need to hone it down so that we don't have, an ongoing discussion at great length on this one topic. It's important, but it's not something that is going to make or break the success of PSTA, and so we need to zero in on what we want to say, and then get it on the side of the buses. I mean,
I don't know how to predict the board meetings, but one option that the board, instead of voting on the specific words, they could vote on delegating official authority for identifying the words to the PSTA executive committee.
Okay.
Couldn't they do that, Alan? The board could delegate responsibility for coming up with the exact words of the mission and vision statement to the executive committee.
They could, sure.
And then they wouldn't have to have a 4-hour discussion.
Yeah.
Right.
We would just have it here.
Yeah. Like next month, we can't. It's not delegated right now, or
Right now you
or
don't
do we
have
have
to.
that authority already?
Right.
It would be faster if, in theory, if the board was able to just coalesce around one specific item and agree to it, which, I don't know, depending on the weather, or I don't know what leads.
I don't know, we asked that to happen once before, and the board didn't do that.
Yeah. Well, I think if we put a
Well,
nice little timeline of, this is where we were, this is where we're going, that might help. I think that's a good idea.
And was the quick affordable transportation from where you are to where you want to go, that was what Neil Brickfield came up with years ago?
Yeah.
The only thing that we connect people versus we transport people. I mean, connect people to their life activity. I think that's what Mark did up in Rochester, connected people. I mean, he's been talking about connection rather than we move people, we provide access. I guess connect is okay. I'm just, but, okay.
Connect people, the we connect is in all of the
Yeah.
options. Yeah. The vision statement is more aspirational than our current vision statement, for sure.
Mhm.
But I imagine that we will have status reports on, until we have the business scorecard in place and it's up and running, to this executive committee at each of its meetings.
Yep. Yep.
If there's any other, so I'll go ahead and I'll put it on the agenda.
Yep, put it on, and see what happens, and if they want to delegate it to the executive committee or some other committee, then we can do that. If they accept it, then we're fine.
I kind of think that we really needed to be voted on by the full board. Just-
I know. Because right now, you know, the departments, you know, the PSTA departments are putting together their scorecards, you know, their individual scorecards, and everyone is driving toward this one sheet of paper that you have in your packet. It's sort of like,
Right.
it's a target, it's just not very pinpointed. It'd be better to have more.
Oh,
The next informational item on your agenda is the board meeting. The board meeting agenda, which you should have a copy of. One thing I was just thinking about that we have on the finance committee agenda, but Debbie, aren't we gonna have the auditor come to the board meeting?
If you would like him there, he came last year, yes.
Yeah.
is this the annual?
Yeah.
This is the annual update, don't we usually have them
Yeah.
We do.
Well, and he's coming to the finance committee, right?
Right, they tend to give a more robust discussion at the finance committee meeting, and a summary level at the board.
there? Okay, just so they're there in case there are any questions.
Right.
Okay,
So would that be, is that an action then for the board to accept the audit, or does the finance committee actually accept the audit?
Rach?
Oh, I was gonna answer a different question, I'm sorry.
yeah.
The board, I believe,
The board, I think, usually
Well,
does
we,
the actual.
accepts the-
we move it
accept.
forward though, right? The finance committee actually
Yes.
moves it
Yeah,
forward.
recommend.
With the board.
So it would be under
Recommendation.
action items,
Yeah,
is what?
yeah.
But I put it up in the beginning of the meeting, because I thought we kinda wanted
Okay.
them, but I
Oh,
can
it's,
move it.
it is up there, under presentations.
Yep.
Just so they can
Oh,
come in
yes.
and out.
I'm sorry, it's
Yeah.
there.
Mhm.
It's number 2.
Yeah.
Just have to make sure there's an action.
Presentation.
I thought it was. Sorry.
So audit presentation and acceptance?
An acceptance, yeah.
Yeah, we had acceptance.
So the auditors will be at our finance
They
committee
sure
meeting?
will.
Yeah, okay, good, thank you.
The finance committee and the planning committee are on February 22nd. The finance committee's agenda will have the 2 main items on the March 22nd. 2 main items will be the audit and the first item on the board, you see there, the Clearwater Beach Transit Center
Mhm.
memorandum of understanding with the city of Clearwater.
Okay. Is that moving along?
It's actually an interlocal agreement.
Interlocal agreement?
Oh, okay.
Is that moving along?
Interlocal agreement
We're
with the
getting
city
ready
of
to nail
Clearwater.
that down, or are we still?
We're hoping to move it along, yeah.
Yeah.
Do-
The draft of the agreement is in the city's hands. We've been waiting for their response. Cassandra communicated with them last week, and they said they were working on it.
Okay, we don't know if they have any recommended changes or anything?
We don't know
We
yet.
know that they're gonna have recommended changes. We don't know what they are yet.
Okay, all right.
I have a meeting with the city manager of Clearwater on Thursday, I think.
Okay.
This is going to be one of the topics.
Cassandra might have not gotten to you yet. We're still shooting for the March 22nd, but they're shooting now for their first meeting in April.
Is,
Well,
Wow.
The city is,
oh, is it for the city council?
yeah.
Oh, okay, well, if the finance committee would approve it at PSTA on March 22nd, it would go to the PSTA board on March 29th.
Right.
I don't know when the Clearwater meeting is.
It's like April 4th or something.
oh, when's the
like
meeting in
that.
April?
I have to look at the calendar.
That should be okay.
April
right? PSTA would go
6th.
first.
April 6th?
Looks like.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, if their meeting is April 6th,
I mean,
well, can we get, consensus with them in April, or is it gonna be dragging on till
Well, we-
summertime?
No,
We could-
we could, if
we could-
if the agreement's ready, the board could approve it on the 29th of March, and then the city council could approve it on April 6th.
Okay,
It's just a question of having it finalized between staffs for presentation to
Right.
the respective boards.
okay. All right, assuming, this is nothing to do right now, but just assuming we can get agreement, then what's our, timeframe for moving forward on
well,
building and so on?
the next step after approving of this, by both parties approving of this interlocal agreement is to bid the construction of the transit center.
Okay,
This is a, well, transit center is maybe a glorious term for it. It is a pullout, constructing a pullout just as you cross over the bridge from downtown Clearwater into Clearwater Beach, right before you get to the circle, the roundabout there, on the north side. There's going to be extra pavement constructed in an easement granted to PSTA for the buses to pull over on the side of the road, and some nice canopied shelter area for people to wait.
okay.
This
It's not
will be
gonna have- Not gonna
constructed.
have parking and things like that, it's strictly for the buses to pull in and out?
Yeah, so parking basically.
There is parking adjacent, there's public parking adjacent to it, which may be, are they planning on removing some of those parking places so it can be a pickup spot?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
That would be maybe a good idea.
In terms of bidding out the construction, the RFP, I believe, is done. The construction contract has been drafted. So
Okay.
the RFP should be pretty much,
Yeah, I do would to bid this out as quickly as possible so that this thing theoretically could be open for next year's spring break,
Mhm.
in time for next year's spring break.
Okay.
So the finance committee, again, two items, the audit and this Clearwater Beach MOU, and those both come to the PSTA board.
Okay.
In addition, the other main item on the PSTA board is my performance evaluation,
Mhm.
which is being handled by the personnel committee.
Mhm.
There is one other,
Can I stay on the performance evaluation
Yeah.
for a moment, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
So, they were supposedly sent out on Friday. I don't think I got it on Friday, but,
oh, really?
and the deadline for getting it back,
Was this Friday?
Yes, the 10th. It was a 1 week. But if you didn't
But you didn't get it?
Did
You-
See if I can, I didn't read that. Kind of in that
I don't know, but she responded.
email every day.
I think it's that Cindy Shepherd.
No, it's Judy.
I think it's Cindy. I think,
Oh, well, Judy was responding to some of my emails.
she was? I don't know. Okay.
So we're gonna,
It's not
the
released.
hounds are going to be released on the Monday, the 13th, that you're late, you've gotta get back today.
Yeah. Or at least that's what the Personnel Committee agreed to, but I feel like if the city of St. Petersburg has not actually even sent it out as
Yeah,
of
we'll
today,
probably
it's,
extend it a couple days.
maybe the hounds would not be released until like the 15th or 16th, I don't know.
And then does the Personnel Committee meet prior to the board meeting?
Yes, on Monday, the
27th.
27th of March, the Personnel Committee is going to meet to review the results and make a recommendation to the PSTA board.
So that's still 2 weeks from Friday.
Yeah, so there's a little bit of a cushion. I think the confusion is that, since Darden Rice is the chair of the St. Pete City Council, the chair of the St. Pete City Council gets a separate admin assistant. Gets Cindy assigned, that Cindy person assigned to her,
Well, that's
is to the
me.
chair, rather than her
Judy's
regular
always
assistant.
responding to anything I send about Darden.
Well, I think their workspace is one. I don't know.
No,
I
so
don't
they
know.
sort of take
Hmm.
that.
Oh.
All right.
Tag
I'm
team.
gonna, I can only pick up I have two Yahoo accounts, I can only pick one up on my phone, so I can't say for sure that I got that.
Okay.
I'll check and check it back.
We'll have to follow up.
Yeah, well,
The other item which may appear on your March agenda, which is not currently, is it on there? The Jelly Trolley?
No.
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 Your vision statement, that's the only one.
The, as you know, the First Transit, the other, one of the other
Filed.
bidders has filed a intent to protest
Right, a notice.
and notice that they're going to protest
Yeah, is there a drop dead date to receive that?
today.
No, the initial notice?
Well, once they file a notice, then they have a period of time where they have to present an actual complaint, right?
Right, that's today.
Okay. We haven't heard anything yet?
Not as of yet, but
Okay.
we will hear something before 5 o'clock.
Before 5, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
As you recall, the First Transit put their notice in. They also submitted a substantial public records request
Right.
into PSTA.
Mhm.
We've been completing that as best we can. So one option, they might ask for an extension.
Yeah, and they could ask for an extension if they don't receive what they asked for, or is that?
I don't expect them to ask for an extension. What I would expect that they'll do today, because there is no authority under the policy that's been granted to Brad to grant an extension, I expect them to submit something today. Now, they may indicate, and they already, their attorney already kind of indicated that this is probably what they're gonna do, is they will indicate that they will supplement their formal protest with based upon any additional public records that they receive after today. So we will receive something today, I have no doubt. Brad has 15 days then to issue a decision.
What, can we get an indication from the type of public records they're requesting as to what their
Anything
approach
and
is gonna be?
everything.
No.
Anything and everything.
Okay,
They kind of like cast a whole net.
okay.
Basically, I'll give you the couple of general categories. All emails sent to any board member between the day of the issuance of the notice of intent and the day of your decision.
Right.
Any emails between staff members and anybody between the day the RFP was issued through the date of the board decision. Notices of the public meetings. So those are the, what did I miss?
Minutes, we wanted minutes from any meeting.
Minutes from any meetings. And
of
then
course the
anything
articles.
submitted by Jolly Trolley to the board. So that
Okay,
handout that
and
they submitted.
nothing about meetings or anything like that?
Well, minutes
Yes,
of meeting.
minutes
Oh.
and the notices of all the board meetings.
Okay.
Or committee meetings where it was discussed.
Okay. All right.
So it's
So
all
even-
encompassing. It covers everything that you could think of in a way that they could possibly challenge the decision of the board.
Okay.
So Alan, do you want to kind of describe roughly what different options for a response to this that might come back to the, how it might come back to the PSA board in March?
Well, I mean, under the policy, Brad has the authority to issue a decision in 15 days. He has the 7 days within which he could attempt to negotiate an amicable resolution with First Transit. I'm not really sure how we could, what format that could take in this situation. That'd probably be a difficult thing to figure out, something that might resolve this amicably. Though the options are, I mean, could find that there's basis for the protest, go back to the board with a recommendation to either award to First Transit or to reject all bids and rebid. Could find that there's no basis for the protest, in which case their alternative after that would be to file suit. And that's basically would be Brad's three alternatives. Try to resolve it, go back to the board
Well,
with
what-
a new
what-
recommendation.
What kind of resolution would they be looking for,
I gotta say, I can't think of a resolution
other than a rebid?
other than a.
Or just
rebid.
giving it to them instead?
Is this really an appropriate discussion to have? In this meeting?
I'm not talking about any details, I'm just talking about process and procedure, so as far as I'm concerned,
Okay.
I'm fine with this discussion.
All right.
I mean, we haven't had any discussions with them about a resolution. but,
Okay.
Anyway, that's the process. So obviously, we'll be working with Brad to craft a response to the protest once we receive it, and then any supplemental information we receive from them between now and the 15th.
Okay.
So there's an outside chance that there could be something on the board agenda for the 29th.
All right.
Okay.
And then the last item on, in informational items, do we have any update on when Pat's gonna be here?
I don't know.
Okay, last item is the League of Cities, Suncoast League of Cities tag meeting.
Right. So in your packet is a copy of the, I think you're probably familiar with this, Joe.
Yep.
Angela Christ has put together this proposal called a Transportation Advisory Group.
Mhm.
And she met with me, Commissioner Johnson brought her to me, and the three of us met to go over this in some level of detail. It's been revised somewhat, but if you look down through the proposed compact, on the second page of it, she's got Section 2 and Section 3. Section 2 lists members of this proposed advocacy group as mainly the cities. And then Section 3 lists what she's calling partners of the advocacy group, which includes agencies like PSTA and HART and the Florida DOT.
Mhm.
I think an earlier version of this compact had the idea that PSTA, HART, FDOT would actually be members or have to vote to join this group in some way. I don't think that is necessary anymore under its latest version that you see here. So I have heard some concern from some PSTA board members about, is this yet another group, another entity, or what is this exactly? Ms. Christ said that the Florida League of Cities has other compacts like this on, I think it was water quality and other, in other areas of the state where, municipalities band together who all have a desire to see some outcome. So she's modeling it based on some other Florida League of Cities compacts. I personally don't think I told her I thought it was a good thing to have the cities be supportive of all transportation modes and advocate for that. So that's a good thing. Her desire to be the one voice for the Tampa Bay transportation is a little questionable whether that's even possible. Or it seems like this one voice will join the chorus of other one voices in a whole Broadway show of one voices.
I'm sorry, can I interrupt a second?
Yes.
I texted Pat, she said her meeting just got out, she could be here in 5 minutes. She wanted to know if she should still come or not.
How many minutes?
5. she
5,
said.
I would say yes.
Yes, 5 minutes, yeah. It was 25 minutes.
So this is the most recent,
This is the most. I just got this off the website on last week, off their website. Have you have either of you attended a Florida Suncoast League meeting where this has come up?
Yes, we've attended it, but we haven't voted on anything or anything like that.
have you taken it to your city yet?
Pardon me?
Have you
No, I have
taken it
not.
to your city? I haven't either.
No.
And
Well, Angela said when she was with us, she presented to this group as listed in here. The Municipal Association of Pasco County,
Yeah, well,
she did present.
and
it.
and that Pasco took it to their, and that group of Pasco cities took it back to their cities,
yeah,
and maybe have already voted on it.
okay. My question that, I didn't voice it at the Suncoast League of Cities meeting is there's no real authority here. This is more like simply a way to kind of get some consensus on ideas on how to improve, enhance, or whatever, the way in which there's interaction between our PSTA and any other entity. I mean, Pasco really doesn't have an entity, right? I mean, they don't have any.
They have some public transit operations. It's a county department, a department of the county of Pasco.
Okay, and are we interacting with them in any way now?
We participate on the T-BARTA Transit
Yeah.
Advisory, something, whatever it
Yeah,
is.
I'm talking
The
about.
transit
I'm
advisory.
talking about integrating routes and providing
They used to have a
services in
route
some
that
way
went
or
Up
other.
up in
at
Tarpon
Tarpon
Springs,
Springs.
Yeah.
probably one of their highest ridership routes is along US 19 in Pasco County, and it comes down actually into Pinellas County. No
Mhm.
wall yet. It comes down and connects with our Route 19 at the Publix.
Okay,
Uh,
all right.
and we do have some transfer
Mhm.
both ways.
Well, are they participating in Flamingo, for instance? And,
Yes, yeah, right? Aren't they in Flamingo?
Yeah.
They will be in full enrollment.
Yeah.
they don't right now.
Right, but they will be.
Okay, all right. Okay,
Pasco is also in the Tampa Bay Transportation Management Area, TMA. Their MPO is part of that. Does she have Manatee in here?
Yeah, Bill, what are your thoughts?
Well, I wish I had gone to the Suncoast League meeting 2 weeks ago,
She doesn't have
Yeah.
Manatee.
because I wasn't able to.
That was the one at Pasadena,
Yeah.
Pumps Pasadena?
Are they in the Sun?
I don't remember.
Yeah, it was
where
at Pumps Pasadena, and this really didn't come up much.
Really?
The last time this came up really was the meeting that we
campus.
had at the,
Campus
in
incentives.
Gulfport,
Are they?
Yeah.
at the casino, Gulfport Casino.
Yeah.
That was like January or December?
Isn't what is the makeup of the Suncoast League of Cities? It includes Hillsborough County cities.
Yes.
Yeah.
Includes cities in Hillsborough, Pasco,
I
and
think
And there
Hernando
was-
too, right?
at Hernando. I don't think they have a member from Brooksville, nor, and it used to include Crystal River and Inverness. And
But it does not include Manatee South.
does not go south. No.
They have a different association. I'm
It
not
doesn't,
sure.
I'm just looking at the list of their members. It says, it does not list Brooksville or any Hernando city as a member.
That's because they have not renewed their membership.
Okay, and it says it's 24, there's 24 member cities and 3 counties.
Okay.
So, City of Tampa, Temple Terrace is included. I guess Plant City doesn't participate, but Tampa and Temple Terrace do from
Right,
Hillsborough.
right.
And then all the rest that are listed are from Pinellas or Pasco.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it seems like the question is to Angela, maybe from staff, is this ready to go on our agenda? Or to go to the planning committee? I mean, it was kind of like, we were gonna, when Brad and I met with Angela, we said we'd take it to the executive committee for kind of consensus guidance, right?
Yeah.
And so, I'm kind of asking myself, but including Joe, what do you think the next step is here for PSTA? Do we want to wait for the member cities to endorse it?
Yeah. I mean, my concern is that we have a lot of alphabet soup already.
Hi.
And
Thank you for coming.
and so we have a lot of entities already trying to address transportation issues, and so I'm not sure whether this really solidifies or benefits any further than what we already have, and that's my concern. I mean, the Suncoast League obviously wants to improve anything to do with growth and development for the counties, but and the cities, but I don't know that this adds significantly to that goal.
What we're talking about is
Oh, I'm
agenda
sorry,
item.
you wanted this, I can look up on that.
The Suncoast League of Cities has come up with this idea for a compact, they're calling it, called the Transportation Advocacy Group. And an earlier version had PSTA as, in addition to all the cities that are in the Suncoast League, and according to Alan, the counties are in the Florida League of Cities? I don't understand that.
No.
Counties.
No,
No,
Or the
it's
Suncoast.
cities in each.
Okay.
It said 24 cities in 3 different counties.
Yeah, like
In
Hillsborough
3
Hillsborough
different
doesn't have that
counties.
many cities.
The
you
counties
know.
are not.
Yeah.
Pasco doesn't really.
Okay.
either. That's the issue.
Then the latest version that you have there, PSTA is called, PSTA, HART, FDOT, MPOs are called partners. We're not members, we're partners. Angela Christ, who is the staff that staffs the the Suncoast League of Cities, is the one working on this, and Bill Johnson and I met with Angela about a month ago now to go over this. And then we agreed to take it to the executive committee to seek guidance on how to, whether PSTA wanted to be supportive of it, not supportive of it. I think maybe some cities have maybe already voted to join it or to be part of it.
I'm not aware of any. I haven't taken it to my city.
Did you go to the last Suncoast League?
Yes.
This
really didn't come up at that meeting.
Oh, it didn't? Okay.
No.
Okay.
So I don't know that we've moved any farther along the path to getting this done. I think, as I was saying to Bill, I think the last meeting that we had, I think you were there, was at the
Phillies?
Gulfport Casino. That was,
Oh.
it was like 2-3, yeah, you were at the last meeting you went to, I guess was the Phillies meeting, but yeah. The one at Gulfport Casino was either December or January.
I think it was January.
Yeah, and that was when this was really presented by Angela at that time, but nothing, I don't.
She also presented it 2 weeks ago, well, a week and a half ago, at the Tampa Bay Regional Planning Council's Transportation Forum.
Mhm.
She was one of the panel members. Although she had some kind of vertigo or some kind of illness, she
Mhm.
said.
Mhm.
So she, but she mentioned that her topic was this, and that she was working on putting this together.
If I may, Mr.
Yes,
Chairman,
please.
in section 5, it lists specifically several
Gold.
joint goals of the group. And one of them is the regional fare payment system, and then there's also the one bus away expansion, which are both transit related,
Yeah.
and both are they both priorities of us? Is one bus away? That's more T-BARTA, but we're
Neither of
participating.
those are currently adopted legislative priorities, but they are both,
Operational
projects.
priorities.
yeah.
So from that standpoint, we support those. I think we probably would say we support the I-275-60 interchange because we have buses
Yeah.
that goes, the 100 goes through there, is that right?
The 300 goes through there.
300 goes through
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
So now looking at it, I'm kind of going, well, this is almost a no-brainer to say, yes, we probably
Well-
want to be.
Except that it's one more meeting, one more group that's meeting.
It's not going to meet, it's just kind of a paper tiger.
And the point is, the
Yeah.
Suncoast League could support these agendas without creating something that people need to go to, respond to, whatever. So,
Yeah. But like the northbound interchange, replacement of northbound Howard Franklin rather, and the traffic management systems, those are really like long-term projects. Those are not really in the near term. So,
Well,
there's nothing wrong with it. It's just,
as Commissioner George said, yes, it's
yeah,
one
whether
more,
this is
one more voice.
Yeah, so this would help in,
I think horses are great, but.
Yeah, voices are great.
But meetings we have plenty of.
It does say in the bullet down below, seek external funding resources to support the operation and administration of the group.
Okay.
So it might become a meeting. I don't know.
All right. Okay, do we have to do anything with this, or can we table this, or?
We could table this till,
Because we're running late. We want to get this done. We've got several action items here. Actually, only one action item, just the meeting.
I thought she would have had it been approved or moving forward by now with the Suncoast
Have
thing.
you brought it to the mayor's council? Is that something that
I
you think?
don't know, I don't go to the mayor's meeting anymore.
Yeah, I don't either.
Suzie Sofer goes for us now, so I don't know.
I could ask
what the
Mayor
status
Beavis
is on
if,
Not that I was suggesting that, but I wondered.
yeah.
I know it's been raised at the Largo meeting, but they have not acted on it.
Yeah.
At the,
And the discussion wasn't that they,
We were
It'll
never
be-
that active in the Suncoast League either, but.
and Commissioner Carroll goes
Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
regularly.
Yeah,
And he's the one who's brought it up, but
Yeah.
just as an informational item, not as an action item.
mm-hmm, yeah.
I mean, it's difficult enough coordinating our priorities. We're just starting to do some of that. And I think Dave went to the last, because he's on a mayor's.
Mayor's Council.
Yeah,
Yeah, Mayor Beavis is very, I think he's like the secretary or something of the Mayor's
Yeah.
Council.
yeah.
Well, that's good. But we can table it till something
Yeah.
new happens on it. Do you wanna go back and cover the minutes?
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say, let's go back and do what we were supposed to for action items. The minutes for the January meeting is,
Move approval?
Second?
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that's done. We had no public comment, and,
What we talked about under the two other informational items, number one is, we have in your packet for the executive committee a summary of where we landed after the January 13th PSTA board workshop regarding a revision to our mission and vision. And it would be nice, it's kind of very important to have a mission and vision to be the foundation of your business scorecard, which we're trying to put together. So we had a discussion about bringing forward the front runner mission and vision that you see on that page to the PSTA board at the end of this month, so that the board would hopefully approve of it. And then that would be our new mission and vision. But there was some concern expressed by Bill and Joe that not turn into a 4-hour discussion at the PSTA board meeting in some way. So maybe,
it's a wordsmithing,
Yeah.
and
Right.
I think the main thing is to get one, I mean, they're all reasonable, but get a statement and get it so it's on the letterhead and it's on the side of the buses and people
Yeah.
can use it as an idea of thinking about what we're trying to accomplish as an entity. So, whether we move forward with just the front runner or some other technique, try and keep it down so we don't have 15 additional
Right.
ideas.
the idea was to present current version where we landed on the 13th with the board workshop, the further discussions, and then sort of a timeline to try to speed things along.
Well, I'm wondering if we could put forward the two front runners, the mission and vision.
Yeah.
And just ask people to think about it for a month,
Mhm.
and then come back and vote on it the next month, because nobody will look at it.
Yeah.
And then we'll come back and vote on it.
And it's
And
possible.
if they have suggestions, they can send them to you in the meantime.
So put it
I mean,
on as
rather
an
than opening it up.
information item in March for action in April.
Yeah,
That's a good idea.
that's fine.
Excellent.
And then if
Yeah,
anybody
that's-
has a serious heartburn with any of with either of them, they should send their remarks to
Right.
Brad,
Yeah.
otherwise
That's it,
maybe we'll even put it on consent the next month.
right.
Yeah.
That's why she gets paid the big bucks,
That's
right?
right.
Yeah, good idea.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And then we went over the board agenda with the main items to come up this month, our fabulous audit, which
Mhm.
is
It looks good,
It looks good.
precursor newsflash is looking good. It's gonna go to the
Okay.
finance committee first.
good.
And then my performance evaluation, which we ran into a little bit of a question mark whether the city of St. Petersburg, under the leadership of Chair Darden Rice has actually sent it out yet, which I think the answer might be no.
Well,
I haven't.
Does that come from her automatically, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Traditionally, it is sent out by the chair and
Chair.
administrative assistant, so you get
So you just.
independence from the,
PSTA.
Okay. So I-
And that person usually receives them back, right?
Right.
Yeah.
receives them back, summarizes them, and does the follow-up.
Okay.
And the
Yeah.
meeting is supposed to be.
And
The
does
meeting
that
is
mean-
actually not till the 27th, so there's
Yeah,
some,
What's like the
some
drop dead
time.
date that we have to have this done for you?
Well, the Personnel Committee did vote that the harassment would start on this coming Friday, the 10th. But if it hasn't been sent out as of today, the harassment might be delayed a couple days.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you get yours, Pat?
No.
I didn't get one, I don't think. I'm not sure.
I couldn't find one either, so.
It'll come from either Judy, Judy, what's her name? Tennyson, Judy Tennyson, or
Okay.
Cindy.
Well, we can call and harass her today.
I've already
We're going
tried.
to.
She's got a fundraiser tonight.
Rachel's
so I'll
probably
see
done
you
it 3
there.
times already.
I've already tried
Yeah.
it. There's,
Yeah.
The third, there is a potential then for a third item. It's not on the agenda yet, but we had some discussion about the Jolly Trolley,
Yeah.
Right.
the
Right.
first transit protest, which we will receive something today. And it might result in, well, it will result in some kind of either informational item to the PSTA board at the board meeting.
Right.
Right.
If not action.
Good. How much do we, how much do we normally divulge, as far as what, of the inner workings of legal action at this time?
What do you mean?
I'm not
Well,
sure.
what I mean is,
At the board meeting?
are we gonna talk about it, or are we just gonna keep it low-key until, things get resolved?
Well, it's Brad's decision
I
following
mean,
the legal process that
Right.
we have for procurement.
Brad has 15 days to issue the decision, so Brad and I will be discussing the protest when we get it.
Okay.
And they haven't turned it in yet. so,
And
They may not.
probably,
That's pretty lucrative.
no,
contract.
I
mean,
communicated
would
with
think
her
that-
on Friday. There's no doubt that they're
Yeah.
gonna.
It's a pretty
file a
lucrative
protest.
contract, I mean,
Yeah, there wasn't
so
unanimous
they're gonna be
decision to-
doing something, I'm sure.
Yeah.
No, so it really won't rise to the level of a discussion with the board unless we get sued, in which case we'll probably suggest that we meet in an executive session.
Okay. All right, all right, any other topics
That's
that
an
we need?
interesting way for that to be, to have the executive make the decision when there's a protest? Is that unusual, or am I just imagining that?
No, because frequently the boards don't like to get into that type of a, hearing with the lawyers and 4 hours
Well,
of
yeah.
discussion.
And also
and,
then it
uh,
Cities
becomes
do it?
public too.
Cities
so,
do it that way?
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah, a lot of cities do that,
Yeah.
do it that way. I think in Largo, it's
Did we do it
Henry
that way?
did, we didn't get many protests
Yeah, we didn't have very, yeah.
in Largo, but I think it goes to the city manager.
All right, so just decide how much you're gonna keep us in the loop on that, and we'll see where this goes. All right, any other topics that we need to review? I see there are other things on here, but future meeting subjects and other business, is there anything of significance there?
The one item of other business that I'm interested in discussing at the executive committee, we say in here that in the path forward, that the executive committee will assist the board in developing high-level policy consensus. And the one area that we've talked about but haven't, well, I guess there's potentially 2 items. One is the way the communication outreach we have to employers and to the community, kind of the telling the story of our riders and telling our story. And I'd be interested in having the executive committee spend a little time reacting to the recent press reports and talking about, is there an adjustment that we should make to our outward communication? I mean, we're doing so much outward communication now where we weren't in the past, but just to kind of touch base on that. The other thing that at some point in time I'm looking for guidance on, since I'm the MPO rep from PSTA, to what should we be taking forward to the MPO as an agenda from PSTA? And I know that the executive directors talk to each other, but is there something that I should be doing? So those are two items that I would just kind of put as potential future.
Okay, all right, how do we do that? What would be your suggestion?
I'll put them on the agendas. I'll put them on next month's agenda.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think, just to piggyback off of that, what do we do when we get a sort of neutral but really not positive, sort of neutral, maybe a little bit negative, report from the newspaper like we had a couple weeks ago, where we had an article by John Romano, we had the main article in the paper on one day regarding the status of our transportation network. And we need to be maybe proactive in developing I don't want to call it a news bureau, but an entity portion that gives a response to those kinds of reports, but also kind of puts out information so that we don't get as many negative reports, if we can put out positive information. And I know we do some of that, but maybe there's a way we could do a little bit more and head things off at the pass a little bit. I don't know.
Well, in response to that, we do, and as Bill said, we are doing a lot more than we've ever done before about getting our stories and our positive messages out into the community. And if you read the Tampa Bay Times articles, I would not, other than the headline, I would not characterize them as negative. I didn't take them as negative about PSTA or the PSTA board or buses or anything.
They didn't attack us personally.
Yeah.
They didn't attack us personally. That wasn't.
Yeah.
But the routes, the lack of frequency, these are all money issues, and that's what I tried to bring out at the board meeting last month. These are all issues involving the fact that we need more money so that we have more routes, more frequency, more usable, more user-friendly routes and things like that. And I don't know the answer to it, but
no, my personal view is that the article is an opportunity. Is an opportunity for both PSTA and HART to maybe, as Commissioner Jones has said, maybe I don't know, modify our messages or take advantage of the Times pointing this out and echoing it in some way.
Well, that's what, and I think that's what half of what Joe's saying too is could we jump on that and say, thank you for saying we need more money in the system because you're right.
Exactly.
Yeah. Last week Heather Sobush presented down to the St. Pete City Council about the bus route, updating them on the Central Avenue BRT project, and there was, I guess, lots of conversations by the St. Pete City Council members about the articles and how to improve, how to move the ball forward, and I don't know exactly what was said, but they talked about whether the city of St. Pete should invest some of their own money into improving transit, which is a great idea.
Okay.
Right.
Just as an aside, though, in that
So
particular
we
case,
need to make.
Jump on over,
Yeah, it would be nice if we knew about that in advance. I mean, I would have liked to go down and maybe put my 2 cents in the public comment or something like that, you know. If we as board members
With
know
the-
that
with-
things like that are happening, it might be
At the
helpful.
chamber?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah. Well, certainly, especially, I think we're pretty good about it if it's in your area.
Yeah.
But we can,
yeah.
direct-
Just
Well, the other thing
put
with
a
that is
memo out to the
maybe-
board when that
Yeah.
kind of thing is happening, so that we can, I mean, we can each make a decision, it's not a mandatory formation, but if we can go there, it might be beneficial to find out, check the pulse of that particular city, but also, maybe make a few comments in public comment time, you know, as an individual, not
Right.
necessarily as a board member, but as an individual.
But it might be beneficial also to go to the editorial board and say,
Yeah,
hey, you
Yeah.
know,
yeah.
Yeah.
you're right, we have a
Executive-
problem here.
Executive committee sets up a meeting to go
Yeah.
talk to the folks at
I think that's a
the
great
towns,
idea.
you know, things like that. That might be beneficial too.
We need them on our side for sure.
Mhm.
oh, yeah, and they are. I mean,
I mean, I
to
think they
that.
are. I don't think they meant
uh,
harm.
No, I think the story was started from a meeting that I had with the editorial board about our innovation and our Uber programs and all that, and they, Tim Nickens sat there and listened to all that, and they were very interested in asking tons of questions about that, and they said, well, it somehow got about the fact that the buses only run every hour, so that you can catch an Uber, but then you have to wait around, and then he's like, well, you know, you can be as innovative, he said, you can be as innovative as you want, but you need more money.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, was Romano at that meeting, or did he read his article separately?
He
Not
was
usually
separate,
that
but there was like 3 or 4 of the editorial board members there. So it's all very positive. You might know this gentleman, Don Crane, who is a gentleman who lives in St. Petersburg. He was on the PSTA board as the citizen appointee. He was a state legislator back in the 70s. And is in the Florida Transportation Hall of Fame. He's 87 years old now, but he transportation is his life. And he called me and said he read the article and he was just like beside himself, like, Brad, we have to do something about this. And so he wrote like some kind of enormous letter to the editor that was maybe 10 pages long that needed to be edited down. And he said, well, and Brad, I'm older, so I don't have any influence, so can you get your PSTA board members to sign on to my letter once I get it down? So I know he reached out to Commissioner Long and I think Darden Rice and maybe a few others. But I think we do need to try to somehow take advantage of that.
Yeah, we need to be hitting up on the legislative people before they get bogged down in other things up in Tallahassee in the next couple of weeks. We need to be talking to people at the federal level. Hopefully you and I can do that when we're up there, that
Next
kind
week.
of thing. We need some buckaroos so we can operate like a real business here, you know?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, all right, anything else that we need to discuss? We're a little over time-wise.
I apologize again for being late.
Thank you for coming.
Okay, all right, do I hear a motion to
I've had
adjourn?
trouble with
So moved.
conflicting
Okay, second.
meetings this year.
Second.
All right, thank you.
A conflicting meeting system?
Conflicting meetings.
Oh.
One running into another and
No.
this one only happens once or twice a year. The one that